Salve a tutti, sono Almarok e benvenuti in un nuovo video. Oggi siamo qui per fare un'intervista a Iver Sandøy, famoso per essere batterista degli Enslaved e per essere anche membro e collaboratore di progetti come Wardruna, Ivar Björnsson ed Einar Selvik e Gals Weird. Prima di iniziare lo ringrazio per la sua disponibilità, per aver accettato di essere qui oggi. Vi lascio l'intervista e vi auguro buona visione. Nice to meet you, thank you for staying today.
Nice to meet you too.
Why you started to do music, why you started to do metal music. Let's talk about your beginning as a musician.
Well, it's a very long time ago. So I guess it just started as another game. One day we were playing war and pretending to kill each other with the wooden swords, and the next day we found some guitars. I guess that's basically it. And at some point we stopped playing with the wooden swords and continued with the instruments. Well, the first band was a band with my brother and my cousin and one other guy from the island where I grew up. It's a very small island and very few people, but we managed to get a band together. So we did our first performance 40 years ago, actually, in 1986. So, but that was more, I guess, cover songs of a little bit folk music, a little bit of like the popular songs back then. But then, of course, then when we got a little bit better on the instruments, we wanted to play metal, which is what we were listening to. So 2 years after that, like in 1988, when I was 14-year-old, we started a thrash metal band with two guys from the neighboring island. Among other people, Ole Farstad, who now plays lead guitar in Abbat. So he's one of my oldest friends in music.
Okay, let's talk about your join in Enslaved and your complete story in the band.
We've been friends for many years, I guess, over 26, 27 years now. And actually also this year, about a week ago, it was 20 years since my first official appearance with Enslaved as on a special concert where the regular drummer Kato couldn't do the gig, so they asked me if I could fill in because we were already good friends by then. And then a little bit later, we did some side projects, and I started producing Enslaved from 2010 and the Axioma album. And then when Kato, the previous drummer, decided to quit back in 2017, we basically decided that okay, let's just do it within the closed circle, and they twisted my arm basically. They said, or Grutle said that if I didn't join, he would quit. So that's how it ended up like this, and we just more or less continued the way we had been doing in the years prior to me joining, except now I would also play the drums in addition to everything else. Well, from Axioma, that was the first one I was producing. Then my main contribution there was in the drum recording. They did most of the other stuff themselves. And then from the Riter album, I got more involved in the traditional production sense, I guess you would say. So that's from that point on, it was recorded the basic tracks in my studio, and yeah, producing them in collaboration with Ivar and Grutle. So that was Axioma, Ritter, In Times, and then after In Times, Herbrand Larsen, the keyboard player, decided to pull out. So then we got in Håkon from Seven Impale, but all the vocals were actually written by Grutle and me before Håkon joined. So he did a fantastic job of singing all the parts that we had written for him. And then already on the next album, Kato quit. So then it was full on drumming and producing from Utgard to Heimdal, and then to the new music that we're working on at the moment.
You collaborated with Ivar and with Einar Selvik at the project Einar Selvik and Ivar Bjørsen and with Wardruna. Let's talk about your work with these two projects.
Yeah, that was also really nice. I guess it started with we also were friends from way back with Einar, and when they did the Skuggsjå album, we recorded the metal drums actually at the same time that we were recording In Times with Enslaved. We had one last day in the studio where we recorded the Enslaved drums for the Skuggsjå album, and Einar did most of the Vadruna parts, and a little bit later we met in my studio and kind of fitted everything together, and I mixed the album. And then and we did some small appearances as a trio actually with Ivar and Einar and me. But then when it came time to do the next project, then I was asked to be a part of that on drums and also vocals in addition to Einar, because we have our voices seem to fit very, very well together. So that was the Skuggsjå album I recorded the drums for, and yeah, basically the parts that were recorded in Bergen, and I mixed it. And then we had a very nice little tour in January of 2019. And of course, I've been doing tiny bits and pieces with the recording for Vardruna through the years also.
Okay, you recently collaborated at last Girls Weird album. Let's talk about this.
Yeah, actually, I've been doing producing all the Galsweird albums from the. I even did a little mastering job on their live debut, that was recorded on the black metal event, and then they asked me to produce the debut album, which we did, and that did very well, and we continued working with the mini album that came after the debut album, and then now the latest studio album that we also did. And it's a very interesting collaboration because there are a lot of hours spent in the studio with Gal. He takes his time, and we have very philosophical discussions about lyrics and also other things. We are both very interested in wine, for instance. So we can have long conversations about not only music.
Now let's talk about your personal music project. If I hear that you stay to working at the first album of your project, Whispering Void.
Yeah, that was Actually, it was more of a project that the Gal got me involved in, since it was Ronnie, a guy who used to play guitar for Trelldom. This was his side project that needed some collaboration and expanding. So that's why Gal wanted me to produce and then eventually also do drums. And I did both drums and bass and a little bit of keyboard for that album. And we got Lindify from Vadruna, who is also a good friend, of course, to contribute. So as it looks now, I think that project will be, at least with that lineup, it will be only that album, I think, because it was never meant to be a concert thing. It was that music for an album recorded, and yeah, so I think that's it. Maybe Ronnie will, and even Gal will continue it, but I'm not sure what will happen there. Basically it was focused on that one album, and there were no plans beyond that. And then of course that was done more or less the same time that I was working on several of the solo albums from Lindify, Hella from Vadruna.
If you want to be remembered for an album of your career, an album you're particularly proud, which is and why?
That is a difficult question, because every time people ask me what I'm working on at the moment, I kind of struggle to, because I think my job from producing things, it's so often about focusing on the one thing that you're working on at the very moment, and then devoting your attention to the next project. So I can't really say, well, or I won't like pull one particular album. Maybe, well, it's hard to say. I can talk about maybe the albums I did 20 years ago has some special position because I was of a different age and it was a different time, and you kind of just remember the good things. But yeah, it's difficult to quote one album, because I've also been lucky enough to be part of so many.
And now let's talk about your project and the Enslaved project for this 2026.
Yeah, well, there is. I can't really disclose that much, but there is new music coming, and we're not doing a lot of live performances, but the ones that we are doing will be pretty exclusive, I think. So yeah, there will be new music coming. I can say that much.
Thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for staying today. Good luck for your project. So thank you. Bye.
Bye bye now.